Good day, everyone. Today we are talking about section 8.1, solve by factoring and graphing. This is a review of chapter 6. So when we said I can solve a quadratic equation by factoring, that's chapter 6. I can solve it by graphing, that's chapter 7. So this section is literally just a review of chapter 6 and 7. So essentially, if you wanted to, you could pause the video and try to do every single problem on your sheet front and back without even having to hear me explain anything. I'm going to go through every couple problems. I'm going to give you some reminders as we go through these, and then we're just going to, ask you to pause the video and try a bunch of these on your own. Again, so solve by factoring, you need to factor the quadratic, set each factor to equal 0, and solve. So a big thing here is before you can set each factor to 0 is it must equal 0 to start. Okay, to solve any quadratic, it must be equal to 0 before you can do any graphing or any solving by factoring or whatever. And that's going to be a common occurrence in this chapter. Again, the first rule of factoring is the GCF. So we asked, does 12 go into 18? No, but 6 does. Do they have a common variable? Yes, they both have b. How much b can I take out of each of them? Well, just 1. So I'm dividing each term by 6b. So I'm left with 2b plus 3. That's the factoring part. Again, the solving part is where you go equals 0 and you solve. So you divide by 6 and you get 0. You're going to subtract 3, so you get 2b equals negative 3. Divide by 2, so you get b equals negative 3 halves and 0. Again, it's got to equal to 0, so you're going to subtract the 8c. So you have 6c squared minus 8c equals 0. This problem is just like the left one, so you should be able to solve that one. And then the right one, since it is a trinomial, 1, 2, 3 terms, that is a diamond problem. Since it is 1m squared, it is diamond done. So I would like you to pause the video and try to do each of the next two on your own. All right, so on the middle one, you factored out the GCF of 2c. As you can see here in black, you're left with 3c minus 4. Set them both equal to 0 and solve. So 0 divided by 2 is 0. Add the 4. So you have 3c equals 4, then divide by 3, so you get 0 equals 4/3, or sorry, 0 and 4/3. Again, the m problem is diamond done, so we have 30 on top. Again, if you need to draw the rainbow arc, we had 1 times 30 on top, negative 11, so the b goes on bottom. So negative 5, negative 6, again, a positive product means they're the same sign. The sum was negative, means they're both negative. So we had m minus 5, m minus 6. Set them each equal to 0. Add the 5, add the 6, you get 5 and 6. All of these problems here in this row will be diamond done. The problem on each of them is you have to move something in order to get it all to one side and equal to 0. Now, when you have things on multiple sides, like the R problem, for example, you could move everything to the left, you could move everything to the right. The question is, where is the squared value going to be positive? So on the first one, p squared minus 7p equals 18. The p squared is positive on the left. So we're going to move the 18 over and have p squared minus 7p minus 18 equals 0. On the middle one, for example, the r squared is positive on the left, so we are going to add 8r and 10. Cancel, cancel. We get r squared minus 7r plus 10 equals 0. And same concept with the c problem on the end. The c is positive on the left side, so you're going to move everything to the left, combining like terms, equals 0. Diamond done on all of these. So please pause the video and try each of these 3 on your own. All right, so on the left problem, again, you diamond, you had 1, there's 1p squared, so 1 times negative 18 is negative 18 on top. B is negative 7. Again, a negative product means it's one positive, one negative on the factors, and you get 2 and negative 9. And so you get p plus 2, p minus 9. Solve them each, you get p equals negative 2 and positive 9. On the r problem, again, you got 1r squared times, so 1 times 10 up top is 10, negative 7 on bottom, you get negative 2, negative 5. So r minus 2, r minus 5, set them both equal to 0 and solve, and you get r equals 2 and 5. The last one, you had to still do the moving, so you had to add the 13c. Again, the 13c will go after the c squared. You have to have it in standard form. So the squared term, the linear term, the constant term. And so that negative 8 plus negative 6 gave us negative 14. Then we do the diamond. Again, 1c squared. So 1 times negative 14 on top, 13 on bottom. Again, if your top and bottom numbers are 1 digit apart, try 1. It's not always the number, but 90+% of the time it is. So we got 14 and negative 1, so you get c plus 14, c minus 1. Set them both equal to 0 and solve. So that was kind of sections 4 and 5 from chapter 6. Now we're going to go to the ones that some people struggled with, and some people said these weren't so bad once you got a hang of them. Again, you're always looking for a GCF. Does 2 go into 13 and 6? Unfortunately, it doesn't. So this is a diamond split problem because A is not 1. So again, I'm going 2 times 6 is 12 on top. B goes on bottom. Again, these are 1 digit apart, so I'm going to try 1. And 12 and 1 happen to work. Again, you are going to rewrite the problem splitting the middle term. So whatever my number is on bottom, this 13, we're saying that 13 came from 12x plus 1x. And again, you are going to group the first two terms, factor out the GCF. Group the last two terms, factor out the GCF. Remembering there's always something. If nothing else, you can factor out 1. You'll notice these parentheses match. That means x plus 6 is one of my factors. This stuff on the outside, this 2x and plus 1, that is the parenthesis that got split. So that forms our other factor. And then the last thing, because it is a solving problem, we have to go equals 0 on both sides. So subtract 1, you get 2x. Divide by 2. Here you get x equals negative 6. So we get x equals negative 6 and negative 1/2. Again, it's got to equal 0 first. So you would have to add the 5 over. So you have 2x squared minus 11x plus 5 equals 0. And now you would do diamond split, just like we did on the left problem, and to do all the solving. So pause the video and try that one on your own. All right, so again, you do the diamonds, so you go first times last. Again, if you need to draw those rainbow arcs, do so. So you got 10 on top, negative 11 on bottom. Again, our bottom number, our B, that middle term is what gets split. So we had 10 and negative 11. Again, 10 and 11 are 1 digit apart, so I tried 10 and 1, and it works. Both of them are negative because it's a positive product with a negative sum. I chose to do the negative 10x first because I think it factors better with the 2, but remember it doesn't matter. So I did 2x squared minus 10x minus 1x plus 5, factored out the GCF. You can see that work here in black. Put my two parentheses, that's what's in blue, set them equal to 0 and solved. I get x equals 5 on the right. I add the 1, divide by 2 to get 1/2 on the left. Again, that was section 6.6 if you had to look back in your notes. These two problems would be section 7 on the left and section 8 on the right. So on the left, you're looking for, can I rewrite it as a squared minus b squared? And the answer is yes. And on the right, since there are 4 terms, you are looking for grouping. I'd like you to pause the video and try each of these on your own. All right, so on the left one, again, you're looking for, can I write it as a squared minus b squared? So again, the pattern a squared minus b squared equals a plus b, a minus b. So we have 2y quantity squared equals 4y squared. Again, what number do I square to get 4y? What do I square to get 49? And again, when I do this, this first part acts like A, the second part acts like B. So I have A plus B, 2y plus 7, A minus B, 2y minus 7. Set them each equal to 0 and solve, I get negative 7 halves and positive 7 halves. For terms, again, we are doing grouping. So we group the first two, factor out the GCF, which is 1x squared, because 2 doesn't go into 3 evenly, but they both have x, and squared is the most I can take away from both of them. I'm left with 2x minus 3. Again, I know my GCF is negative because that term is negative. So my GCF is automatically negative. 18 doesn't go into 27, but 9 does. So I'm factoring out negative 9. And I'm left with 2x minus 3. Those two parentheses are why we have 2x minus 3 in our answer. And then we had x squared minus 9. And again, whenever we have a power or a leading coefficient other than 1, we always have to do a double check. Do we have a difference of squares? In this case, it's x squared minus 9, which means we can write it as x squared minus 3 squared. So that's why we have x plus 3, x minus 3. Again, if this was x squared plus 9, we wouldn't have to do anything. If it was x squared minus 8, wouldn't have to do anything. Only if it's a squared minus b squared. And we always have to check, especially when we're solving, that we have that. And so we get our final answer, negative 3, 3 halves, and 3. That is our factoring review. When we come to class, we will do some of these problems. We'll talk about some of the word problems again that you will see. But that is a quick overview of Chapter 6. Now we are switching gears to Chapter 7. So again, what we are looking for is we graph it until the parabola intersects the x-axis. Again, that means that y equals 0. So you make your xy table until you get to 0 on the y side. All right, I will go through the first one with you again. Again, if you're like, I know how to do this, you can pause the video and go ahead and do both of these. Again, this is standard form. So we have ax squared plus bx plus c. So to find the AOS, we do negative b over 2a. And you get negative 4 over 2. We get x equals negative 2. Again, you would plug that in to find the y value. And again, we talked about using your calculator if you want. And so you're going to plug in negative 2 and we get negative 9. And so negative 3, negative 4, you're going to keep going until you get to 0 on the y side. So in this case, I had to do 4 sets of points. Again, we will plot all of these. So starting with our AOS is x equals negative 2. So we'll go negative 2. And as some of you got hammered on the test or the quizzes before, you need to label it as x equals negative 2. We are then going to plot our xy table. So negative 2, negative 9. We went negative 3, negative 8, and then the mirror point. Negative 4, negative 5. 2 away from the AOS, so we do the mirror point, and then we get negative 5, 0. 1, 2, 3 from the AOS, 1, 2, 3 from the AOS. We're going to draw our parabola. And again, we are solving, so our answer is, where does it cross? Where are those 2 points? Well, x equals negative 5 and positive 1. So now that I walked you through one of these, I'd like you to pause the video and try the next one on your own. Again, this was in standard form, so you did x equals negative b over 2a to find your axis of symmetry. We plugged it in. used our calculator to get the table. 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, you could have gone 4, 3, 2, 1 if you wanted and gone that way to make your XY table. You graph it and you go, where does it cross? Well, it crossed right there and right there. Those points are at 1 and 7. The other form we talked about was a vertex form. We know this is the A, H, and K form. Again, if you are confident that you can do that, go ahead, pause the video and do both of them. If you need a quick reminder, I'll explain the first one and have you do the second one on your own. Again, our axis of symmetry is going to be x equals h. Again, h is opposite of what appears because it is inside of parentheses. So it is -5. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, -5. Draw and label our AOS. Our vertex we know is HK. So we're going to do our XY table. We know it's going to be HK, so -5, 4 automatically. And again, you can plug in points. You can use your XY table. I'm going to go -7, or I'm sorry, -6. When you plug it in, you get -3. You could have gone -4. Doesn't matter. So -6, 3, mirror point. I'm still not to the axis, so I'm going to go again. So I get -7 and I get 0. 2 away from the AOS. Plot the mirror point. Draw the graph. Where are the two intercepts? Those are my two answers. So we'd say that x equals -7 and -3. Again, when it's in vertex form, you do not have to show the work for finding AOS because it's interpreted from the problem. So pause the video and try the next one on your own. So again, x equals 4 because h is opposite of what appears. We see -4, so it's +4. Again, we do our XY table until we get to the 0. That's why we only had to do 2 sets of points here. We had the vertex, and then our first mirror point we plugged in got us to 0. And so we had zeros at 3 and 5. So x equals 3 and 5. When you come to class, we will do more examples of graphing as well. If you have any questions, make sure you ask. Otherwise, have a great day, everyone.